Hey friends, it's Nanci Hersh, and I am here in Chester County, PA, about an hour southeast of Philadelphia, and I am part of the 1-year anniversary of Saturday Night Live art shows. I'm joining 60 other artists throughout the world that have been posting between 6 and 9 p.m. their time. Anyway, so here I am in my studio, and I've added 2 more paintings to my Zoom wall, and I figured I'd start at the top so we can go down instead of up. The 2 most recent, this is a teaching artist and a visual artist named Kate. And Kate and I have been in the Zoom room several times, but I loved that she was outside. It was during the summer, and it was just nice to see her space. We're going to take a quick break to let Magpie out. And this, by the way, is what my Zoom day is like all day, every day. My desk is right by the door, and Maggie continually goes in and out. And this is really, literally all day. So while people get Zoom bombed, we have dogs and relatives and children. Maggie is my in and out. So anyway, so the way I kind of choose who to do a painting of is kind of just who I feel a connection with in terms of, does the space look interesting? How are they looking? Are they looking thoughtful or animated? And it's just kind of telling a story of this past year. So Kate, it was really about her backyard. I loved her space. I loved that she was just kind of being introspective. She had her clipboard. It was really fun to paint that little part of the clipboard. Her plants and that wall. I really love that wall. So this one, I did the screenshot over the summer, and I recently did the painting probably last month. And then just last night, I finished this one. Now I'm gonna step down so I don't fall off. Or maybe I'll pull the ladder. The one to the left of that are the twin poets. And the twin poets are 2 amazing brothers, Delaware State Representative Nanci Hersh and his brother Al Mills. And they are social workers. As I said, Representative Hersh is the Delaware State Representative. And I was in the Zoom room with them recently. They were doing a final experience for students at a middle school. And I've been in the physical space with both these guys, and their work is so powerful, and the stories that they tell about what inspires them, and they riff off of each other, and it's really a beautiful experience. So to have them convey that same kind of energy in the Zoom room was really powerful for me. And this is kind of typical. Nandi is usually in a suit or a sports jacket, and Al's a little bit more cash. And I don't know whose house they were in, but I love seeing the space, and that's part of it too. This one down here, the sign language person for this gentleman here, who's Dr. Chris Edmonds, she was on a green screen. And that was the only time I've done a kind of a plain background, because I really love seeing the space that people are in. I think I'm more drawn at first to who they are, like their face and their expressions and the story of my connection with them. And then I start looking at the space, you know, the architectural, what's on their walls. Just like when you're in the Zoom room, don't you kind of look at what's on people's bookshelves, or, I don't know, I love that. And I think that in this time of the past year when we've been really socially distanced and feeling disconnected, this black rectangle is actually a window. It's an invitation into people's homes and into their lives. And some are more curated, as you know. Some, I love this one here. I'm gonna climb down now. I love this one of Stella. So Stella is my next door neighbor, and she's my 5-year-old friend. And it was during the summer, and so she hadn't started kindergarten yet, and we were doing a music workshop with the DIAE where I work. And we had told the kids ahead of time, we told parents to tell the kids that we're going to be making music, and so Stella was ready. She had her bells on her wrist, and the bells in her hand, and you could see she was just sitting there so patiently, and her cheeks were like, she was like kind of holding her breath, like, so I love this one, Estelle. She's very animated, but here she was just waiting patiently. And in a similar workshop, we have the other side of it. This is George. George is an actor, and he's also a director, and he's a wonderful teaching artist. And on the other side, so it's a double screen, were all these little kids at a Head Start Center, an early learning center, and they're making faces at George and they're acting, but I just loved George's face. And I really loved how you could see the reflection of the screen in there. Let's see. Is there any other stories that people would like to see? Let's see. I'm going to move my ladder. So I've been doing yoga for a really long time, like 30 years. And I hesitated to do a Zoom yoga class. I just wasn't really feeling it. But it turns out that one of my favorite yoga teachers was giving Zoom, and I decided to do it in the summer. And I love that while we were waiting for it to start, Danielle's dog came in. And the thing is, I didn't know Danielle. I didn't know who she was, but I was having a really wonderful time painting this elaborate kimono that she had on. And then in the summer, when we did some in-person yoga classes, I noticed this woman on her mat next to me, and she had really cool yoga clothing. Like half the time, I'm just wearing a t-shirt and whatever leggings. But she always has these very coordinated outfits. And sure enough, I asked her if that was her. I said, do you have a dog? And turns out this is Danielle and her dog. And she was practicing yoga outside. So I really love that this has been an opportunity to get to know people and see into their lives. And then there are the people that use the virtual backgrounds. So Greg here is a professor at a university, and he's always had virtual backgrounds. And typically it's a picture of the university, a brick building or something like that. And it's kind of interesting. One time he had almost an amusement park. But when he did the Blues Brothers, I just loved it. I loved it. And I love seeing Greg with the Blues Brothers. Actually, this is probably one of my favorites. And then below it, we have kind of a similar palette. Josima is a really powerful young woman that I met at a summit, the Mill Summit in Wilmington. And she had such a presence and really kind of was speaking about education and speaking about social justice that I went up to her afterwards and told her I wanted to get to know her. And she and I are now, we work together with DIAE. And in fact, during the summer in June, when there's all the social unrest around the death of George Floyd, Great Danes asked her to be the guest speaker. And so here she was with all these women on screen, and she just spoke so eloquently and really asked us to look inside and say, what is our mission? What are we living by? So Josima is truly a Great Dane here. And let's see. I mean, they're all fun, they're all my favorites. I'd love to hear from you guys if any of you have any favorites. I guess I love them all. I love all these people. Some of them I know better than others. Some I've never met in person. And I have to tell you, it really all started with the selfie right here. How many times do we sit and look at ourselves and decide, do we like our hair? How are we? And so I started with myself. And so this was the first. And then it was also kind of, because it was the first, it needed some life back into it. So I went back into it months later, and it is what it is now. So right now, I'm about to start 2 more. And I'm just going to show you, I work on Tyvek, the synthetic nonwoven paper. They will be eventually mounted and framed, like this one here. This one doesn't have a frame around it yet. And I've been putting a ground on it. The ground helps the paint adhere better, and I love having a medium tone to start with. So I've prepared a couple today. There's one here, and I take them out on my board, and then I'm just going to show you. So I take lots of screenshots. Let's see if this one comes up fast enough. Okay, so this is going to be my next one. So Dana, first of all, I love her glasses, and I love her little bit of red hair. And when I took this picture, I just started meeting her in meetings. And then most recently we worked on a project together. And so she was showing us how the project was going to work. But her eye's a little closed here, so I'm glad I took some other ones of her. So sometimes they're really a straight shot angle that I like. And then sometimes I have to do a little bit of taking from one to another to get the story that I want. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for stopping by. I really look forward to sharing my work with you. I am grateful to Brooke Harker and Jean Marie, and there's a couple other artists that have really started this. They've been doing it for a year. I just joined this week, but I'm really happy to be a part of this. And I do have a website. It's Zoom Room, one word with a hyphen, Nanci Hersh. That's NanciHersh.com. So have a beautiful Saturday evening. Happy holiday, Passover, happy spring. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.